Gamers, gals, non-binary pals, today we return toward the origins of which this channel was founded upon, and that is stolen content. And yet again, we're gonna be stealing MET's content because I'ma say it, he's probably the only good Yu-Gi-Oh creator on this platform. So, no one expected these Yu-Gi-Oh cards to be good. My favorite Yu-Gi-Oh card is, I don't know, Lovely Labyrinth. Still have yet to see Art of her give it a pit job, so get on that, artists.
Hey everybody, Joseph Rothschild here, aka...
What the fuck? Is that Elmo?
MBT.
No, it's Pokemon, never mind.
And we are back with another Twitter thread. We just watched that clip of Elon Musk where he tells the people who were advertising on Twitter to go F themselves. So I'm confident that we've got maybe 4 Twitter threads left. Anyway, today we're talking about cards that seemed okay, but turned out they were busted. As I've said in the tweet, sometimes Yu-Gi-Oh cards are clearly broken. Things like Kit Kalos and Arise Heart and VFD are printed to be powerful. You can read it in their text.
Fuck
But
VFD.
sometimes cards...
I hate VFD. I remember during like the tail end of like remote duel format when Virtual World just got dropped. Oh my god. It was the most obnoxious shit on planet Earth to like load into a game of Duel Book or go to a remote duel like event. And it just turns out like 3 out of the 8 players at that locals are just, they're summoning Cloud Castle. They're going into VFD. There's like nothing you could do. Also, let me get a shout out to a Korean who got banned for a year for using an OCG True King of All Calamities in an event because he just fucking felt like it. And when a judge asked him why, he said it was Spanish and got banned for lying to a judge.
Weird utility effects end up causing more damage than the aforementioned ones. And I'm going to begin with this one, Linkcross. This card came out in a set that had like 4 other cards that independently ruined the format. Linkcross was a staple in a significant amount of decks, mostly because of its interactions with Martial Metal Marcher. Frequently, what you would do is use Halqifibrax to get an O-Lion, and then link off the Halqifibrax for a Linkcross, and then summon 2 tokens, and then the O-Lion and a token, a Martial Metal Marcher for the token, and then bring back the O-Lion, and then you have a million stars worth of material that you could use for any number of powerful Link plays. So, let's see what you all have below.
It's kind of interesting how a lot of people relatively undervalued how good Linkcross was going to be at the start. Like, nobody in their fucking moms, like for a really long time, thought that Linkcross was going to be like that good of a card. And then like as like 1 week after the card was like made legal or like announced or whatever, everybody figured out the most boring fucking obnoxious line, which was the Martial Metal Marcher line, where you can make either like a Herald, or you can make like Warlord Savage, or you can make like Infinite Synchro Bodies. Oh my god. COVID Yu-Gi-Oh was a different time. You were put through the trenches if you were playing COVID Yu-Gi-Oh. By the way, I played during COVID Yu-Gi-Oh. I played full power at Emancipator with like 8 bricks. Let me get a shout out to Weeping Idol.
Morpha has a really interesting one. You all might not believe this because you were all born in 2015, especially you, Dyer. But when Soul Charge was first revealed, people immediately expected it was all right. Now keep in mind this was a time before like everyone was playing a deck that just shat out as many Xyz monsters as possible as early as possible. In fact, early decks immediately after the release of Soul Charge are playing like maybe 1 or 2 copies. It sucks to draw 2 of them and you can't even attack. What if you're behind and you can't pay life points? Pretty soon people figured out that you should be maxing out on this card
Soul Charge.
and playing it in
You summoned a bunch.
deck. Despite this, still took until about 2019 for them to finally pull the trigger. Okay, so when Arcand replied with this, it really set my mind at ease. I don't think they expected Magical Scientist was going to be good. And for what it's worth, this card isn't really that good in a vacuum, especially in early Yu-Gi-Oh! When like, oh, you win combat but can't win, isn't a convincing push. Yeah, when Magical Scientist released, he was a common. Last Will was a common. I don't think anyone put 2 and 2 together over there.
It's so funny how Magical Scientist just gets exponentially more broken as time goes on. I remember like a really fucking long time ago when Zara / 5th Rate Duelist, she held a tournament where the idea is that like a trillion cards are made legal, but your starting hand was 1 card. And like me and Trishula TTV, we like bonded together to make the most obscene decks of all time. One of them was Prank Kids, which could hand loop you, but the other one was Dragon Link with Magical Scientist, and a single Magical Scientist could end on, by the way, this is what we still had, like, this is the period of time where like 2 dragons was like FTK, because like every single Dragon Link card was legal. A singular magical scientist ended on like Seals, Savage, maybe something else, and the fucking Dragon Buster like Scythe lock. It was disgusting. And then we had like other people in the format like unironically setting Sangan, because the thought was if your Sangan got ran over, you could just add magical scientists and do the same thing. It was so fucking dumb.
Okay, says fuck Cecil format. Correct. This card was around before then. Like that stupid Buster Blader deck occasionally used this card, even though it wasn't very good in it. But God. Union Carrier. This card single-handedly destroyed NR for about 2 months before it got banned. It's so
NR, what a fake-ass format.
Any slower
Why did I ever take that format seriously?
Everyone ran it in a trap format where the best spell trap removal is MST. Correct. Decisive Battle of Golgonda will destroy any format in which it is allowed to be played, because those formats are usually lower power. It just prevents anything from being destroyed by battle or card effect and lets you plus anytime anyone attempts it. The amount of board control this allows is insane, but at the time it was printed, there were next to no monsters you could safely leave out alone, and it was considered jank for years. Correct. But I have to warn you, I knew someone who had cracked this card. Gavin's dad. Gavin's dad used to do this thing where he would just like read every card in the bulk and try and figure out like synergies that went undiscovered, and figured out this card was broken, I think like in Frognark back in like 2009. So now you know where he gets it. This card in Infernoble was extremely annoying.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Fucking smoke grenade. This card is the bane of my fucking existence, dude. I remember the week that Infernoble was made legal and like people figured out the combo. The first remote duel local I went to after this shit was made legal, I got Infernoble hand looped for like 3, and my opponent set up like 6 negates. I guess a singular fucking block dragon plus a weeping idol in hand is gonna have to get us there, huh? Smoke Grenade the Thief was such a dumb fucking card for so many reasons, and like the biggest thing is that you didn't even have to play Infernoble. You could just straight up play Dragon Link, because you could summon Vylon Cube. COVID format really was the fucking worst of Yu-Gi-Oh! I'ma say it.
Explore even more than this one. I Wish I Was Dead has the follow-up tweet to Dyer's about Smoke Grenade of the Thief. Yes. Power Tool Braver Dragon seems unassuming at first. Like, Isolde already does something similar. Why would it be broken? Well, in the OCG, you use it to equip Smoke Grenade of the Thief and Rod of Silence KS'd, which says negate other spell effects that target the equipped monster and destroy those spell cards. KS'd would also get you 2 hand rips because you could use Baron de Fleur to tag into it.
Awesome.
Siberian says, from what I remember when they were first previewed, the bulk of the conversation was about splashing them in other decks. Very few people were thinking about playing them all together as their own strategy. It did not play out like that. I do like their follow-up post. Considering they debuted it rare, my pet theory is that Konami also didn't see them coming. It was cool to remember people saying things like, oh, Blaster's a nice piece of removal for that new Battle Boxer deck. Who would have thought that a non-once per turn special summon from the graveyard plus Book of Moon was problematic, especially when sent by Shooting Riser or Curious on command. Shooting Riser? Oh, no, wait, no, yeah, Shooting Riser. This was far from the most problematic card where it was legal both times, but I'm glad Snow's time has gone. Isn't Snow a common?
I've been saying this since day one. I miss Crystron. Not Crystron Halqifibrax, just pure Crystron. Where you were using Snow and like Excel Synchron to summon like Trishula on like your opponent's turn, using like a spare Link Cross token plus a Snow plus a leveled down Excel Synchron. The day I learned Crystron was the day my fucking third eye opened. I saw Smigger and I was like, this is it. This is the greatest card of all time.
On first print, they were like, oh yeah, the fairy tale archetype where we remake the little fairy tale girls. You'd think this card only works in a dedicated Mystic Mine stun strategy, but this card is just good in general. Yeah, on release, people were like, the card enables a really toxic deck. It's not like everyone's going to play it, though. Hard Like Joe's got a great...
I hate to say it, but my first ever regional top, as in like a top 8 placing, was with Mystic Mind Burn. I ran around the venue like a little fucking rat. I bought a shit ton of fucking burn cards. The fucking $300 that I dropped that day to build this deck optimally it was worth every fucking penny.
Great one, the Tyrant Neptune. Hardleg says, I used to collect these. I thought they had potential. No one else seemed to think so. I got a whole bunch out of bulk bins for pennies. Years later, it ended up being used into a combo so powerful and degenerate that the TCG banned it before the other half was even legal. That is correct.
Awesome.
Lyrilisk Independent Nightingale is a fusion monster you could summon off of instant fusion and then immediately use as material to tribute for the Tyrant Neptune. Because that card checks the stars on the monster that is currently activating the effect, this card really FTK'd like nobody's business. And for what it's worth, this combo is really, really searchable. There's a rank 4, King of the Fairolymps.
Yippee!
Some of you may remember from Prague watch-alongs. That gets us out like nobody's business. Notably, in the Masochist ban list tournament, we usually try and release as many cards as possible, but I think this card has never been one of the cards we've released. Scarlin's correct. It didn't destroy a format by itself, already engaging in branded apologia. Well, she's on brand, if nothing else. But this was a bulk common that read as Total Liquid Ass. On release, it was barely played. It saw sparse use with Ido, then one person topped an MCS with Puppet, and it spread quickly and became a main win condition in the TCG. I don't think it was an MCS. Yeah, upon release, Branded Expulsion was kind of expected to be another one of those pack filler lore cards. Then some people started trying out, I think it was Ra's Disciple, and then later Ido. It really took like months before it was like, no, this is your main win condition. Yo, what's up, guys? Halqifibrax.
Every time I look at like a branded list, I see like one of two things. A, it's either playing the most mid shit of all time, aka Chimera cards, or B, it has no fucking identity outside of today I'm gonna floodgate my opponent using like Sanctifier. Fuck Sanctifier, fuck Gimmick Puppet, and fuck Branded, dude. Dumbass deck.
Who would have thought this random GX anime guy would suddenly appear in 2018 to turn your hand traps off and the open enough hand traps to be killed into the sun format? It was so frustrating. People were scraping the bottom of the barrel to play around hand traps during that format. I remember Goki pilots playing Exchange. But Neospace Aqua Dolphin being consistently part of your setup combo was so annoying. Recent example, broken is an exaggeration, but this little common doggy that no one but Coder cared about created a tier 1 deck out of something barely scraping Rogue. And Coder didn't care about this either. Famously said he didn't want to play the new Unchained cards because he thought they were bad and they didn't do anything the deck wanted. Unchained went almost completely undiscovered by the OCG, where it was like, fine, but not really innovated to the level that it has been in the TCG. Now it's the best deck. Like, it's hard to explain that on Dune release, these cards were incredible, available, and almost no one wanted them.
First of all, A, do not trust Coder with anything competitive Yu-Gi-Oh related. He is the fakest fucking player I have ever seen. And B, he also called Tour Guide a bad card in Unchained. I have never seen a man who spent so much time labbing a deck out and then just like as soon as he's presented with the most obviously broken shit of all time, he's like, you know, I don't think popping my own cards and setting trap cards for my deck for absolutely free is what I want to be doing, you know? Oh my god, what a fraud. On the other hand, I did say that Arius was a bad card in Labyrinth, so I will take that L.
The broken cards, Scythe and Halq, that might not have fucked up pre-pote otherwise. So first week of DPE release, I played in an LCS and got 17th during the last subathon. And one of the reasons I got 17th was I lost in Swiss to Triff. I got him to a point where he couldn't do anything with his board, and he ended on Halqifibrax with one card set. And I thought, oh, I've won. Only for him to activate Halqifibrax, tag out to Wonder Magician, and pop a Scythe, at which point I went, oh no, everyone can do that. And everyone did that. Starting off as basically unplayable, this card became super annoying as time went on, especially with the release of cards that say two fuckos that share a zip code and favorite indie film. Correct. Super polymerization, really frustrating anytime that it's legal and viable, like we have right now with the 5-card Blowjob Brother Suite in the extra. But this card originally at release was terrible. There's just nothing to do with it. Based on this thread, I think we can...
Super Poly is such an unfair card. The fact that, like, you could play that shit in tier or, like, Unchained, and you could, like, trigger an Unchained effect or, like, an Yugioh. The fact that Super Poly can be used going second in order to just crack any board imaginable. The fact that you could even play it going first against certain decks like Makonko or Infernoble or just like fucking any deck, because so many fucking archetypes are built off like type and attribute synergy. Holy shit. The amount of fucking games and matches I've lost just to like a single Super Poly is actually ridiculous. I fucking hate that card.
Cut Konami some slack when they print cards that turn out to be huge design mistakes. As we've learned over the course of this thread, sometimes the players miss them too.
Good video, MBT. Remember to post your favorite floodgate monster in the comment section down below. And yeah, that's gonna be it for this video. Goodbye forever.